Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you,
Please proceed.
Senator Boucher, for your kind remarks. Mr. President, I rise because I want to tell the taxpayers of Connecticut that we've heard them loud and clear. I know for the last 3 years since I ran the first time, I've heard it over and over and over again, and I'm sure all of us here in the circle, you've heard it from our friends and our families and our businesses that we got to stop this insanity. No more taxes. That's what I keep hearing. No more taxes. We have no more to give you. And that sort of reminds me of a few years back, maybe early 90s. I was in the boardroom, and it was a workout for these developers, a group of them. And they had gone through 3 different workouts, and it was a large project. It went from a $12 million project initially to a $19 million project by the time the 3rd workout came. And I remember the individual at the far end of the table representing the group, the developers, and saying, you are looking at individuals that used to be wealthy, and now we have no more money, no more to give you. And the truth, I believe, that the people of Connecticut have become very cynical. They don't believe that we can fix this. And can you really blame them? They read, or the proof, I should say, is when they pick up a financial publication like Forbes magazine or the Wall Street Journal or others that place Connecticut last, or pretty much to last, on almost economic or job growth list. The proof? How about the migration of individuals, regardless of age, and businesses that are leaving our state? The proof? The drop in our state revenue. The businesses? I'll give you an example of what I've experienced anyway. I hear it from a financial planner friend of mine, and he tells me, Henry, my client base are moving out. Financial planner, well-to-do, and he's thinking about himself, maybe I ought to be moving somewhere else as well. The proof? 3 years ago, in my first term, my very first evening of the witching hour here, so to speak, is when that budget was passed, I walked out, I saw a lobbyist, I sat down, I saw his body language, and I asked him, talk to me. That's all I asked, that's all I said, talk to me. And he said, they have no idea what they just did. Boardroom decisions will be made not to invest in the state of Connecticut. Their capital will go somewhere else. They will make those decisions, and it's not going to take place overnight, but an erosion, a slow erosion will take place. And I believe we are seeing the proof of that today. GE, Aetna, and those that we haven't even seen yet. It brings into perspective for me something I read a few years ago. And I quote, citizens are customers of government. Citizens are customers of government. And citizens can and will do what dissatisfied customers do. They will go somewhere else. High property taxes force people to move. High sales tax provoke them to shop somewhere else. High taxes on businesses make companies build and hire somewhere else. And lastly, high income taxes undermine the will to work. So how do we stop this migration? How do we make them want to stay? What do we need to do to turn this anemic state economy around? And if the goal is to attract businesses and people into Connecticut in order to grow the economy, then fundamentally, I believe our policies, first and foremost, ought to be lowering taxes and minimizing government spending. And I have said this here before. The empirical data is clear. The communities and the states with the greatest economic growth are the communities and the states with lower taxes and less government spending. And they are the ones that attract the businesses, the people, and the jobs. I believe this budget provides, that's in front of us now, a clear message to the people of Connecticut, a message of a new direction. You've heard that. This new direction in front of us makes structural changes that will take us off the treadmill of higher taxes. And that has led us to slower growth. When I came to the Capitol this session, I spoke to our leadership, and Lisa in particular, and told her, gee, here's my thoughts. And I really felt that, you know, what got us into this financial mess was the spending cap. You know, we never really truly adopted the spending cap. And I felt that that was one of the structural changes that needed to take place. And we heard Jim Smith, I believe, from Webster Bank in September of this past year, testify in front of the Constitutional Commission, spending cap commission that we placed together. And he went on to say that had we not excluded any expenses from the spending cap, that our budget would be, don't quote me to this, but I believe he said $5 million less. I said, wow, that would be quite different. Our fiscal situation here would be quite different today. And we would never have, and I firmly believe this, had we adhered to that going back to 1991, that we would never have had the highest and the second highest, largest tax increase in the state's history. So I believe the budget that we submitted here, the cornerstone in there, I believe, is the cornerstone of what I believe sound fiscal policy, and that's the enactment of a constitutional spending cap. This budget also sends a clear message to the seniors who have been telling us for years, and I know many of you have heard them, stop taxing me. My income isn't growing. I can't afford this. So this budget exempts Social Security from the state income tax on those who earn less than $75,000 singly and jointly $100,000. It also phases in a federal exemption for the estate tax. We protect the municipalities, municipal aid, so it doesn't require towns to assume any costs associated with teacher retirement, which, if we don't do that, will surely raise their taxes or their property taxes, so force the municipalities to raise their property taxes. This budget also reduces government spending and maintains a tax-exempt status on nonprofit hospitals. Our responsibility in providing core services of government is to take care of the most vulnerable, and this budget does that. I've said enough. The fact is, the budget that is in front of us, I believe, provides the foundation and the framework to rebuild economic stability in our state by reducing government spending and beginning to lower taxes, and clearly sends a message to the people of Connecticut that we have heard them loud and clear, Mr. President. Mr. President.